Hey everybody, I'm home. I'm back from vacation. Welcome to another What Else is Going On, aka We Go podcast episode. I'm your girl, your host, Taria. I am getting caught up. We are getting ready to get into the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, season 15, episode 1 and 2. Episode 1 gonna be a drive-by, okay? Because I know 3 is coming on tomorrow, and I was determined to get caught up. So we're gonna do episodes 1 and 2 on this one. Just real quick, little housekeeping announcement. I have made my notes for Salt Lake City. We're going to get into this week's. I'll touch on last week's briefly because I didn't do that one. Um, but we'll be caught up. So, all right, let's get into Beverly Hills. The girls are back in town. They're letting us know off the bat. I feel like I'm yelling at y'all. Okay, there we go. They are letting us know off the bat that the girls are giving us wealth, smoke mirrors, and maybe no substance. Some of them. That's how it appears, right? But I don't know if we believe Dorit and her thoughts and things and everything that's going on. Uh, Maybe we are getting substance, but let's get into it. So we first do a catch up with the ladies. They show Sutton, I think she on a horse or something like that, child. They show Erica washing a car. So we're catching up on all the ladies. We see Dorit in her bags and she's click, clack, clickety clacking, high heels on her tippy down the sidewalk. Okay. And she shows up at Bose's house. So Dorit and Bose are still friends. Dorit says her and Bose have grown really close. Bose is the person now that she calls when she's going through something. It's not Kyle anymore. She doesn't say Kyle, but we know it's Bose. Bose said Dorit will leave a 17-minute voice note and she's like, can I leave it on? I mean, can I listen to it on two speed? I wonder if Bose is going to get tired or does she really have an affinity for Dorit? I'm going to say this. I feel like she does, unless it's strategic. But Dorit is, Bose had taken Dorit to her birthday celebration in New York with her other friends, remember? So the friendship might be legit. What do y'all think? So they talk about PK kissing that lady on the street, how it was all the blogs had picked it up. And I think did Bose call it a Timu Dorit or did she call it a Shein? One of those. She called it a Dorit. After Dorit saw that, she filed that day. And then the next day was it Jagger's soccer game? And we saw Dorit and PK not sitting near each other. PK wants joint custody. She said, in her mind, absolutely not. PK has done that for his public image. He may have the kids on a Saturday when he's in town, but she's the one that has the kids. He's out there trying to live his life like it's golden, okay? So she is not doing that. Then she talks about, supporting people being there for her. She said Kyle did not reach out to her for 4 days after she filed for the divorce. So clearly she thought her and Kyle were getting back on the right track at the reunion. But she feels like Kyle hasn't been there like she should have been there. And Bose was like, that would have been a perfect time for her to reach out. So we'll see. Kyle's at her house with her 4 daughters, like Teresa, her 4 daughters. Um, Mauricio has moved from his condo, his bachelor pad, to a home. You don't have a home? He's got a home. Portia sometimes spends the night there. Sophia, not so much. So Alexia is planning her wedding. Congratulations to Alexia. She's getting married. Now, remember, her oldest daughter, Farrah, was engaged. However, they have called that engagement off. So Alexia is getting married. Kyle is really excited. She's excited to give her the wedding of her dreams. Kyle then pulls out her wedding pictures of her and Mauricio, and they reminisce. The daughters decide neither one of them can bring dates, and they say he's going through a whole phase. Kyle asked the girls, are they embarrassed, like talking about it? Sophia said at first she was kind of closed off, but through therapy, she learned it's okay. You can talk about it. So they seem to be on a good track. Kyle and her daughters are really cute. Rachel Zoe, honey. So we see Rachel. Our introduction of Rachel is her going to Kathy Hilton's house. Remember, y'all, I'm just doing like a little drive by for this episode one because it was a catch up anyway. She's doing a little drive by to Kathy Hilton's house. She's helping Kathy prepare for a trip with her fashions. She says she went from fashion to media business. She's got a podcast to licensing business. So she's still moving and shaking, even if some of it is behind the scenes. Her and her ex Roger were married for 26 years, together for 33. They have two kids. And I think, is it 14 and 11? They were together 18 years before the kids came. And then once the kids came, it changed. We'll get into that a little. Oh, yeah, we'll get into it now. She says it changed after they had kids. So apparently, what it seems like, the kids aren't as close to their dad, her sons, as they could be, but they still love him. So, and they still want to spend time with him. The way she made it seem was like he would rather spend time with the girlfriend that he got very soon after the separation, which, according to my calculations, I think that's in episode two. Maybe it seemed like they might have been together before. But anyway, he spends most of his time with them. So the kids are going away for summer camp, then the Hamptons, and then to their dad's, like, for a night. The son is like, it's okay with me as long as I get you Saturday morning. So she seems to be very close with her sons, or at least we haven't seen the other son, but that son in particular, she seems to be really close. So we go over to Kyle's house. Erica comes over because they're on their way to Sutton's. Now, y'all, I'm just gonna put it out there for those of y'all that have been with me for a while, even before I was doing YouTube. Some of y'all have been with me since the podcast days. Y'all know how I feel about Sutton. Never trusted her. I'm going to try not to make it my business to harp on it. So I'll just say, for new people, I instantly felt, ugh, I'll just say the ick with Sutton when Crystal and Kyle were having a conversation, and Kyle asked Crystal about her experience as Asian American, and Sutton cut the conversation off and said it made her feel uncomfortable. In that moment, I knew whether it was going to be about race or about anything, she was going to pull, I'm going to say, white woman tears, if you will. If she didn't get her way, somebody was mean. That wasn't very nice. I don't want to talk about it. So we're shutting down a conversation that has nothing to do with me. Again, I felt like it wasn't just about race. It was about all things. She was a privileged, spoiled white woman who was not afraid to use her tears. This is how I see Sutton. So the fact that now she's acting as if she doesn't know, because, which we'll get into later, what's up with her and Garcelle. I've been seeing that from Sutton since the beginning. I've never wavered on that. Y'all know I've tried, I've listened to different people. I've tried to give Sutton, but I knew every time I have an initial feeling about a housewife, I should have learned by now, stick to it, because that's pretty probably what it is for me. And I just can't really, I try to enjoy her if she makes me laugh, but Sutton is, I'm gonna be honest, y'all. Sutton is somebody I would just rather not see on my screen, but she's here. So we gonna roll with it, right? Ugh. But anyway, Sutton is having a luncheon. Reba is there. Reba is, oof, quite honestly, Reba is like some of the older black women I know, where you just be like, could just stop, please, hush. Just say anything that come to the brain, but we'll get into it. So her son is Sutton's son is graduating from college. I mean, high school. Congratulations to him. Her mom is there for her for support, because this is her last one, her youngest. She said her and her mom get along good now, better than ever. Kyle. So when I'm sorry, Sutton and not Sutton, Erica and Kyle get there. Kyle brings up Avi. She says she had to let him go. She dances around. She said nothing really happened. There was no drama. She loves him. They left on good terms, but things were complicated. She then says she just doesn't need a personal assistant. So in her confessional, Erica said, son is being evasive. She lost a good friend, and she just doesn't want to say why. And I agree. She's dancing around it. When she had that interview with Jeff Lewis months ago, we talked about it. She couldn't even really answer then. You know, I still got my resort bracelet on. But anyway, they bring up Garcelle. Now all of a sudden, don't nobody know what happened. I don't know. I don't know. I just, I've reached out to her. Kyle said she's reached out to her, no response. Why are you reaching out to her now that she's gone from the show? Y'all wouldn't clickety click it like that on the show. Now that she left, did you do it so that when she was asked in interviews, did anybody speak out, she'd have to say yes? Or if somebody asked you in interviews, did you reach out, you'd be able to say yes? What was the motive for reaching out? I know for me, if I felt a type of way and I felt like you were only reaching out for one of those two reasons, I probably wouldn't respond either. But let me know what y'all think. Do y'all think that Garcelle should have acknowledged her? I feel like if she didn't feel like it, no. But y'all let me know. So again, they're all confused. They talk about the following, unfollowing. Erica said, well, she didn't reach out to me. She unfollowed me. I unfollowed her. Anyway, so they had to find out in the press about the following and the unfollowing. Kathy then shows up, and Sutton brings up her ex has went to the Catholic Church and wanted the marriage annulled after all those years. So I'm like, don't you have to meet certain requirements for an annulment? So I wonder what in the requirements did he meet, or did he have enough money to pay somebody to do it for him? I mean, to the point where when he sent her the notice, it was in her maiden name. And he told her he feels like they'd be better friends if you erase the marriage. Child, Reba gonna holler out, does that mean the kids will be bastards? Why are we even still talking like that? And I know y'all gonna say Reba is 100. I know, but still, she breathing. She's smart. Come on now. And what if that, I mean, they were married when they had him. So is it because of what other people would think? Like for that, to me, that question, I was like, what? But they would not be. Glad Rebus knows that. They would not be. Sutton said he had all that worked out or what have you. So Kyle announces she's having a get together at her house next week. And she lets Sutton know that Bose and Dorit will be there. They then bring up Dorit and her divorce. Sutton feels for her. They think that PK is going to get really nasty in the divorce. So then Kyle says not to defend PK because they bring up the picture that was taken of him. He didn't know that that picture was going to be taken. I said, do you have the same energy for Mauricio? When Mauricio's picture came out, did you say not to defend Mo, but he didn't know that picture was going to be taken? Or did you feel like he should have known better because he's a public figure? If you felt like that, why you ain't feel that same way about PK? Anyway, so Reba says she finds PK unattractive. She wouldn't kiss him. I said, Lord, I mean, no lies detected, but still. So Sutton asked Kyle, does she talk to PK? They have severed ties. I, that's what I thought she said. Y'all correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure she said they have severed ties. Next up, we're at Rachel's house. Rachel's home is beautiful. Um, the producer asked her if she missed having a man in the house, and she said no. She is rather come home. Now, when she comes home, she doesn't feel lonely because her partner that is not paying attention to her is not there. She feels peace. So she said after they separated, it was really brutal. And her son's relationship with their dad is really tricky. Oh, look at us. Next, we have Bose and Erica together. Won't he do it? Ain't that how Erica said it on Watch What Happens Live? Anyway, they get together. They have, I guess they're having a drink. I'll just say that because we don't know if it's early dinner, late lunch, what have you. Erica talked about the big show she did, was it in the UK? And how 10 minutes right before she was getting ready to go on the show, her phone was going off, going crazy. And it was notifications of Tom being sent to prison. Bose tells her, all right, well, now that that part is over, we need to get busy. Like rumors are come out about a spicy hookup. So we need to make those things happen. So Erica says the truth is I met somebody and I got flirtatious. She said nothing worth reporting happened. In the confessional, the producer asked Erica, would you like to set the record straight on what happened with her? And I was the guy Jesse Solomon from Summer House. I think y'all let me know. But Erica says, don't worry about it. That's the record. I said, oh, okay. All right. So they catch up on the ladies. Erica brings up Sutton's luncheon. Boz says, look, Sutton's relationships have imploded with everybody in the group. And Erica's like, yeah, she really ain't got a whole lot of friends in the group right now. She did all that, yeah, that rah-rah talking. Then when she got to the reunion, Bose says she was a mouse. And we saw that because Dorit called her out on it. She said, Bose said, I can't trust somebody like that. So Bose and Erica come to the conclusion they want her to be who she is at all times and not be, was the word unreliable? Basically, like they want her to be who she is. They don't want to have to guess which Sutton, they're going to get. Erica says at this time, she has very few friends in the group, and it's her turn to show us who she is. I said, well, all right now. So the ladies are getting ready for Kyle's event at her home. They're showing the different ladies. Sutton FaceTimes Kyle because she's so excited to be Kyle's friend back in the inner circle, baby. Um, Kyle says we're going to do things together because the nest is empty because she had just dropped Porter off, I think at the airport because he was going, it was either at the airport or one of his friends' house, but I think it was the airport. He's going on a European vacation with his friends. Kyle asked Sutton, how do you feel about seeing Dorit? She said, I don't hold on to things. I think part of that is truly because Garcelle's not there to back her up because Garcelle didn't see it for Dorit either. So it wouldn't be Sutton trying to stand on her own two little legs. All right. The ladies start arriving at Kyle's party. Bose is on her way. She's there with Keely, her daughter, and someone else in the back seat. Kyle says she's looking forward. Kyle says she's looking to get to know. Um, child, my notes say easy. Who is that? Oh, she's looking forward to getting ready to know Bose, child. Bose better. Whatever cloud was preventing her from getting to know Bose better before is now gone. It's clear. But Bose in her confessional says Kyle was cold and closed off. But if she opens up, I'll be her friend. If she don't, I'll be her acquaintance. I said, okay, child, all right. Dorit. Oh, so then Dorit is talking about Sutton. And because they're all the ladies are there now, except for Sutton. Sutton's not there yet. And neither is Rachel, I believe. So they're talking. Dorit says, I said everything I wanted to say to Sutton, basically in New York. I can be cordial around her. I'm not looking for trouble, but if she goes there, I'll meet her there. Because when Kyle brought up Sutton, like Sutton's coming, Dorit was like, oh, I almost forgot about her. Who's Sutton? I almost forgot about. I'm here for it. I think it's funny. I think if this energy is real, if this is the Dorit that we've seen her first two seasons, and then she fell into some mummified version of a housewife. Now she's speaking up again. I don't know, but I prefer this version. Uh, so they all get there. Sutton arrives and they're like, "Oh, were your ears burning? We were just talking about you." And then before she gets there, Kyle says Sutton also doesn't have Garcelle or Avi to like defend her. So Sutton finally gets there. They all sit down and they're talking. Dorit tells Sutton that Kyle and Erica were filling her and Bose in on about the luncheon they had the other day at Sutton's house and the annulment and how her husband wants it annulled. And Dorit tells her, I'm really sorry, about your marriage being annulled. Basically feels for her. Sorry, y'all. I know I had a water somewhere. Oh, here it is. She feels she feels for Sutton going through that. Sutton goes to shake Dorit's hand, and Dorit was like, I don't want it if we're gonna backtrack again after it. And Sutton says, nope, for real. I'm serious. I won't. Oh, Dorit said, I don't want it if it's gonna turn. Sutton said it won't, I promise. I said, uh-huh, because Sutton don't have no allies right now. That's why. But maybe she really wants to move forward with Dorit. Time will tell, right, for the rest of the season. So uh Bose says, look, I don't know what happened with Garcelle and Avi, but I know you're an empty nester now. So Sutton says it was rough. I think what happened with Garcelle, and then she kind of stops. Bose says, nobody, like, we don't know what happened. And they're all confused again. This act, and I know that the episode was last, 2 weeks ago. And there was a lot of discourse online that felt, I've seen a lot of people feel the same way I felt. Why are y'all acting confused? Whether you like Garcelle or not, you know her, like, as viewers, whether you like Garcelle or not, whether you feel like you agree with why she left or what have you, we know why she said she left. Like, there's no confusion about it. They can say, well, I don't agree with her. I don't agree with her thought process behind our friendship, but to act as if they don't know why is crazy to me. Even the folks that don't like Garcelle can say, well, I don't like Garcelle and I didn't agree with her, but this is what she said. Because she knows, we know what she said. That's what's irritated me, for y'all to sit there and act obtuse is an obtuse thing to do, right? So Sutton says, I text her again and again, and she didn't text back. Don't text me behind closed doors. Don't do the safe option when it comes to our friendship. You had nothing to say on that stage. Nothing. Because you didn't want to upset Kyle and the other ladies. Nothing to say. Come to my defense. And now you want to send me a text that nobody else would see? Nah, we're not doing that. The same way you left me out to dry in public, apologize, make it right in public. You know that saying, if the disrespect was public, let the apology be public. Like, don't try to, you can do private and public, but don't try to reach out to me now. I don't blame Garcelle. Keep your text. After she left the dressing room, when she went looking for Garcelle, we were supposed to do supper. Girl, take your supper and shut. Oh, all right, Taria, enough. Anyway, so Dorit says, do you think it was more of an alliance for her than a friendship? Sutton says, I have a hard time believing that. I'm going to say this. I think initially they both needed an alliance. They both were kind of the odd man out that pushed them together, and then they developed a real friendship. That's what I believe. So could it have started out as an alliance? Yes. I look at every single person that came through Lisa Vanderpump. Kyle ended up being best friends with them. I think all her friendship with Teddy, her friendship with Dorit, they all came through Lisa Vanderpump. It was somebody else came through Lisa Vanderpump and then ended up becoming good friends with Kyle. Started out, well, the friend of my, what, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Once Lisa had her falling out with them or whatever, then Kyle could use them on her team. So it could have been the same way. Well, I do believe it was the same way with Dorit and not with Dorit, with Garcelle and Sutton. They needed each other, plain and simple. And then a friendship was born. I do believe that. So when Sutton says, I have a hard time believing that, and that's the thing, words matter. To me, if you wanted to dead it or not have them talk about Garcelle like that, because she gets in a confessional like, I don't like when they talk about Garcelle like that. I don't like when people talk about Garcelle like that. Number one, it's alluding to there's more than them saying that. But also, what you could have said to shut it down was, no, I don't believe that at all. I believe our friendship was genuine and could have shut it down. That, no, I have a hard time believing that. You are not a victim in this. And the fact that they had such strong feelings about Sutton and are now trying to either come to her aid or defense or, be soft with her, that says a lot of how they really felt about Garcelle to me as well, because they couldn't stand Sutton. Anyway, let's go on. I also believe Garcelle wouldn't have needed Sutton as an alliance. If she didn't come along, Garcelle would have eventually ended up holding her own. She would have been okay, still asking the questions, still doing whatever, still getting in the business. And be clear, I'm not saying Garcelle was a saint. There were things I did. There are a lot of things I did that she didn't agree with, but I could also see some things that I was like, that made me side eye the other women towards Garcelle, right? So again, I don't believe that Garcelle would have needed Sutton. Sutton needed Garcelle. And uh, so, and Sutton is actually the reason I believe why Garcelle wasn't as close to the other ladies. Erica pretty much said it. Erica and Garcelle went out to dinner. Remember when Garcelle first came, Erica loved her. And then was it last season or the season before when Erica pretty much told Garcelle, like, look, Sutton, your friendship with Sutton is kind of preventing you from moving forward. Some of the other ladies. So for them to act like, was your friendship, do you think for Garcelle, the friendship was an alliance? Erica out of her own mouth, again, pretty much said, if it wasn't for Sutton, Garcelle would be further along. She didn't say those exact words, but I'm sure y'all remember the scene when Garcelle and Erica went out to eat, and Garcelle and Sutton, and Erica pretty much said that. And Garcelle's like, I'm not going to drop Sutton. Again, she didn't say it in those words, but that was the tone of the conversation. So moving on. Kyle says when her and Sutton are in private, Sutton is different, but around Garcelle, Sutton is not that same Sutton that she is with Kyle in private. And she wants the Sutton when they're in private. So basically you're saying that Sutton acts different around Garcelle. Huh. Okay. Rachel and Kathy arrive. Bose and Rachel know each other from Bose being on Rachel's podcast. Rachel said they hit it off immediately. Immediately. Rachel talks about her separation. Rachel just jumped right in with the ladies. She said it's been amicable and hard, so it's been both. Dorit let them know that Jagger and Phoenix know because Dorit had wanted to shield them. So they're like, where are you now with that? And she's like, they know, but they don't know, but they know, but they don't know. So Kyle straight up asked her, have you sat them down and had a conversation? She says no. Okay. Kathy asked her, does it bother her with PK? And Rachel says, running around with girls. Dorit said, I think he saw Mauricio, and wanted to live up his, like, I'm living my best life. I ain't going back and forth with you. I think he saw Mo and wanted to live his best life. Rachel said when she saw Mauricio in Aspen, somebody tried to set her up with him, and she was like, absolutely not. That is Kyle's ex. No. Because they know of each other. It's not like they were friends, but it's something that she wouldn't do. They know of each other. And she's good for Rachel started out being good friends with Paris, then she met Nikki and Kathy and really liked them. So um Rachel said, so after Rachel said that, Rachel is very direct. And she says to Dorit, listen, if it didn't happen now, it was gonna happen in 5 years. And Bose is like, wow, she's more direct than me. Like she ain't afraid to say what's on her mind. And Rachel was like, you don't want to be with him, like a narcissist. You don't want to be with him. So Dorit asked Kyle, what is it like when you see pictures of Mauricio with other women? Kyle said at first it was kind of like, but now it doesn't bother her anymore. She's getting used to it. They asked Kyle if she's dating. She says, no, I'm single. Yeah, that's why they're asking. Okay. Kyle says, I haven't been leaving the house. I've been in the house. They're telling her, you got to get out. You got to leave the house. It's easy. Rachel says it's easy to stay in the house in your bathrobe, but once you get out there, you're going to have fun. Dorit said, I'm down. Look, Dorit looked like she was getting up to leave. I'm down. I'm down to be out. And Bo said, are you leaving now? Because you're getting up. So then they end the episode with Rachel asking them who wants to have a hot girl summer. They all want to have a hot girl summer. Kyle in her confessional said, I don't even know what it is, but I want to have a hot girl summer. I'll say this, it was a cute episode. Wasn't anything deep. It was different from a Potomac being like cotton candy where you enjoy it, but you know it's nothing of substance. It wasn't that, but it also, like, it wasn't, like, I think that the ladies can be funny, but they're not funny. You know how even to me, with, I've always felt like Atlanta and Potomac are the funniest franchises. Now I know we have Potomac and Dark Years, of course, but like some of the ladies are like really, really funny, right? I always felt like that. And Married to Medicine, I felt like no matter how much some of those ladies get on my nerves, Heavenly, Simone, Jackie, all of them, they could still be funny. Beverly Hills is not a funny show to me, but I still enjoy it's aesthetically pleasing to my eye. So I am kind of interested. I'm interested to see Bo's relationships with these women and how they develop and to see if they're genuine, right? All right, that was episode 1. If y'all heard some clicking, it's because I was pulling up my notes for episode 2. So let's jump. Well, I'm sorry. Peacock is calling it episode 3 because they're doing that thing again where they're adding Watch What Happens Live. They didn't get enough of that from other shows when we complained. So let's get into the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, season 15, episode 3, Bearing It All. So we're at Rachel's house. She's getting her kids ready. They're either going off to camp or with their dad, and Bo stops by. Rachel talks about being by herself and not having to consult with somebody else when she makes a decision. So it's like exciting and freeing, but also afraid, but also scary. Like, I don't have to consult anybody. I can do what I want. And I've heard a lot of women say that, women that have been divorced or women that are divorced say that's one thing out of their divorce that they can, especially women that are mothers. I've heard them say, and their kids are older, which Rachel's isn't older, but you know what I mean. They always make decisions for everybody else. And it's freeing to make a decision based off of how they feel and don't have to consult their partner. So Boz brings up seeing Bose brings up the conversation they had at Kyle's about seeing your ex kissing in the paper. Dorit saw PK. Kyle saw Mo. And she says, I didn't get to ask you. And she said, I mean, it was in the paper. The Daily Mail picked it up, but it wasn't big like that. It wasn't a big deal. And that's where we get into the timeline of, she says, I'll let you do the math. Seems like he might have had this woman before they separated. Then Rachel says, I didn't understand it, and it kind of upset me that Kyle isn't dating now. We find out later that Kyle did date, but at the same time, people go at their own pace. Bo says, regardless who she's seeing, who she's being truthful about, or what other options she's exploring, we could be a safe space for her, but she shuts them down. So in her confessional, she said there's a lot of speculation with Kyle's dating life. Certain people have asked questions, but she's dodging the questions like the Matrix. They want her to spill her tea. Mauricio's new digs, child. Mauricio got him a nice house, I think, in the Hollywood Hills. Kyle drops by and brings him some towels. Remember last season, he only had 8 towels. Kyle brings him some towels. Then she brought some towels for his daughters that say makeup. She said, these are not for your whores. These are not for your slut buckets. Okay. These are for your daughters. These are not for your slores. A slore is a slut and a whore together. But anyway, and I'm just joking. I do not listen. We women have free reign over our bodies. We can do and use them how we want to use them, right? I'm just joking because that's what Kyle said. These are not for your whores or your hoes. Anyway, so originally he was supposed to lease his high rise for only 6 months. Then they were going to reconvene, see where they were at with each other. Child, he moved right into a home. That kind of took that discussion off the table. Pretty much, Mauricio has made up his mind of what he wants to do. When I seen that paparazzi picture of him, the one him kissing in the airport, they kissing. This one they just out, and she just got her legs wrapped all around him. I said, well, all right then. So they bring up the pictures. Kyle says, have your daughters said anything to you? And he said, yeah, they said I'm in my hoe phase. And he says, what about you? Have you gone on any dates? This to me, if you're still in love with the person and you were hoping to have a conversation about either possibly getting back together or moving forward, this would hurt. He says, have you gone on any dates? And she just kind of looked at him. I felt like, now you know I have, but we ain't talking about that. She says, no, I'm single. He said, that's why you're allowed to go on dates. She says, I would never be in a situation like you, photographed, right? He says, uh, but you never know. I mean, you just going into it, you just get so overcome by passion and it could happen. And she's like, can you shut up? Because he's talking about himself. He was so overcome with passion with these women. Now, that's not love, but it's still a passion, and maybe a passion that he hasn't had about her in some years. And maybe she knows this, and that could be kind of hurtful. Like, or another reality check, right? So she goes, can you shut up? Hello, you're referencing yourself. I don't need to hear about that. And he said, you know what? You're right. In her confessional, she said, yes, I've dated since me and Mo have separated, but I can be private and discreet, unlike him. She brings up the girls came over to the house. She had the luncheon. Dorit sees photos of Mauricio and gets upset because it makes her mad because she knows PK is seeing them and feels like that's influencing PK. Mauricio doesn't agree, and they both say Dorit is just angry. Well, yeah, I think I might be too. It Sutton and Erica at a spa treatment together. Oh, Lord. Sutton says she's surprised Erica invited just her out for a spa day because of their relationships in the past. So in her confessional, Erica said, this is me extending an olive branch. Please take it because it may not ne'er happen again. They talk about Kyle's party and how Sutton and Dorit got on really well. Then they bring up Tom, and Sutton says, I know you're over it all. I know you're over everything. And Erica said, I'm not over it. I'm actually heartbroken. It effing sucks. She said, to know that he's going to die in prison is really heavy. He's 83. He was sentenced for 7 years. We do have 80-year-olds out here running marathons and doing all of that, but we know that Tom is not in good health. So the likelihood of him living out these 7 years, and who knows, the misdeeds that he did may haunt him enough for him. It's not going to be a happy life, but he may live out these seven. He may live out the 7 years. So Sutton asked her, is she going to say goodbye? Erica said she doesn't know. So she asked her, if you don't say goodbye, will you regret that? Erica says, I kind of hope that he would die before he went in so it would be over and he wouldn't have to face it, but he didn't. In her confessional, Erica says she thought about going to see him, but would he recognize her? Would he be able to answer the questions that she has? The answer is probably no. And she had to learn in therapy that sometimes closure can look like not getting the answer to the questions that you have. You just still have to move forward. She says that she's still fighting out civil cases right now. And Sutton tells her, I hope you get some relief. And Erica appreciates that. Right. Dorit's house, her mother and father are there. Dorit said in the past 2 weeks, she felt something switch in Jagger. So he had a bit of a breakdown because he missed his grandfather. I apologize, y'all. I forget the name. Was it Saba? I forget the name that he calls his grandfather, but he had a breakdown. He wanted to see his grandfather. So she called her parents. They came. Dorit's parents look good. They don't even really look like her parents, but like they look kind of young to be her parents. So she's worried about Jagger. And her mom said, I know you're worried about Jagger. I'm worried about you. You don't sleep enough. You don't rest enough. You don't get enough nutrition. Dorit said, I know, I know. I'm trying to fix that. In her confessional, she said she has not had a conversation about PK with, well, because she's telling her mom, things are just dumped on me. And I'm realizing I got to pay this, I got to pay that. Then in her confessional, she said, I haven't had a conversation with PK. I don't know what I'm supposed to pay, what he expects me to pay. And I only find out when there's something he doesn't pay and he doesn't give me any money. He expects me to pay the bills and he feels like he's doing more than enough. Dorit's kids are also going back. Is it to Florida? Going back with her parents to spend some time with them. So now we are with Kyle. Kyle took her daughter Alexia to a registry. I did not catch the name of the store, y'all. My apologies. But she said it's like a family tradition. Kyle went there. Her cousins went there. When they get married, it's a tradition to register. Sutton coming, and Sutton is meeting them there as well. The wedding is 8 weeks away. Kyle says the only thing they have on lockdown, did she say is the rabbi? She said they are not a family that's good at planning things. Sutton and Kyle are looking at, so Alexia goes her way. Sutton and Kyle are looking at some stemware. And Kyle says, oh, by the way, the girl that bought my home, Amanda, she's coming to meet them. So this is our introduction to Amanda. Now, mind you, to me, it seemed like she was coming by way of Kyle in that scene, right? Because she says by way of Kyle. I mean, because Kyle's the one that said, hey, you know the girl that bought my house, Amanda, she's coming here to meet us today. They show Amanda's TikTok of her buying a home and then her husband taking like a hammer to Kyle's black and white floors that we have come to know. And Kyle said, unbeknownst to her, a lot of fans loved her black and white floors, and the girl got some backlash because she gutted it and renovated it. So she's coming to meet them. She's also getting married a little bit after Alexia, but she is getting married. And in her confessional, oh yeah, we talked about that. So Amanda arrives and Sutton asked Amanda, oh, when are you getting married? She says 10, I believe. Was it of this year or was it of next year? 10, 10, 26. So she's like, how did you find the man? What am I doing wrong? And she says, he chased me down the street. She said one night she was walking down Santa Monica Boulevard and she was walking towards Santa Monica Boulevard and she walked by a really cute tall guy. Next thing you know, she's stepping into the street. He's right behind her with some witty banter. He manifested her for himself because the hour prior, he said he was going to meet the woman he was going to be with, and he met her. So she's best known for her bestseller, Rich Rich Ass Act or something like that. That's the way my notes brought it up, y'all. I'm sorry. It helps people manifest money into their lives, and it's given her the nickname the Money. I said, all right, well, do I need to pick up the book? I'm bring on some more. Let's manifest some more. So Amanda asks them what they're doing this weekend. Sutton brings up Jennifer's boho party. She's having a boho chic party. They show a flashback of Jennifer talking to Sutton about it. It's a sip and draw. Then we find out Amanda is from Oklahoma. Now we're at Bose's house. She's doing her daughter's hair. She's flat ironing it. She's talking about her daughter's 16th birthday party and trying to find out about boys. Did you like somebody? You know, what's going on, what have you. She then asked her how her daughter feels about her and Keely. Her daughter said, pretty good. She really likes Keely. Bose says they're really sweet together. They've gone on vacation together, done all of that. Now her daughter says, when he proposes, and Bose is like, proposes? What? And she gets excited. She was like, when he proposes, I want him to ask my permission as well. So in her confessional, Bose is like, I hope the answer is yes. So then she tells her daughter, I just have one rule. Don't let me get proposed to without my nails being done. And her daughter's like, your nails are always done. She was like, no, no, like a fresh set. All right. Yeah, Erica's house, because they're all getting ready for Sutton's. And it's this boho, what is it, chic or boho glam? Boho is in there. Erica's getting ready. She's getting her glam done. Then we see Rachel getting her glam done. They're talking about Jennifer's party. Then we see Dorit getting done. And to add the finishing touch on her outfit is a labubu. Do any of y'all have labubus or collect them things? Them terrorizing looking things. Do any of y'all have one? They just, boom, they've been around. And then all of a sudden it's like, boom, they're just dead. Although I haven't heard anybody talk about any since the summer. Is the rain over? Y'all let me know. So Jennifer, we're with Jennifer, and she says she wanted to have a party to kick off the summer since she missed Kyle's summer solstice party. The ladies start arriving. Jennifer has said she has met Rachel socially, and she's like a fan of hers. And it's kind of like intimidating, but she's like a stylist to the stars. Um, Jennifer lets the ladies know Sutton invited her friend Amanda. I said, wow, they got friendly really quick. Then now that I'm thinking about it, maybe Jennifer just said that because Sutton did bring up the party to Amanda at the store. Because I was like, well, that's Kyle's introducing her. Why would Jennifer not say, well, Kyle's bringing her, but Sutton is the one that brought it up. So just worked it out in my brain. So they all come in. They look good. The ladies look good. And Amanda has on some Chanel and like the biker jacket. So Jennifer says Amanda looks like the 1985 Chanel ad, and she says, oh, 1985, that's the year I was born. And Jennifer was like, Jennifer hadn't even made it big in Hollywood yet. She was selling stuff out of a basket, out of a trunk. She hadn't made it yet. So they ask, oh, so then Dorit comes in. Kyle introduces Dorit to Amanda and says she bought my old house. So they start asking her questions, getting to know her. They ask her how many kids she has. She says, I have four. And they're all like, oh my goodness, four kids. She says the two oldest are 9 and 7. Did she say 9 and 7? Right? She said, they're my stepkids. Bose says, oh, so they're his kids. She says, well, I'm raising them. Now, we don't know Amanda. I have not looked on the internet yet. But her saying that could mean that the mother's not in the life, or the mother could be in the life and she feels like I'm in the picture, so I'm helping raise them as well. I don't know. Bose in her confessional said, I don't know if I would like another woman calling my daughter her daughter. There's only one mommy, and that's me. What did y'all think of that? It's hard to know. It's hard to really gauge it because we don't know. At least I haven't seen anything so far about the mom abandoning them or not being there to raise them. So we don't know. So the ladies go, Sutton says, I mean, not Sutton, Jennifer says, we've sipped. Let's go find our easels. They go outside, find their easels. Then they bring out these naked men. I want to ask y'all and be honest. How would y'all feel about going to a party like that? Would you feel like if you were married, would you feel like I would have wanted to know that beforehand? Or even if you're not married, if you're dating or not seeing anybody, just content, would you still feel like you would have wanted a heads up about that, or you just roll with the punches? On the flip side, if your partner went to one and the type that they like was there, man, woman, what have you, was naked, how would you feel if it was sprung on your partner like that? Would you want them to stay? Would you want them to leave? Because I immediately thought about how many of y'all watched Southern Charm New Orleans? Remember when the painter John did that and had naked women and the some of the wives were hot because they were like, how you just gonna do that? And they have wanted the men to leave. So how would y'all feel if y'all partner showed up? So how would you feel being surprised with that? And how would you feel if your partner was surprised with that? Would you want them to leave or is it no big deal? Y'all, please, y'all let me know how you feel. I'm gonna be honest. People may think, oh, whatever. What even was that noise? But anyway, Corey would want me to leave. He wouldn't want me, even though it's just looking, he would want me to leave, and I would want him to leave as well. Let's go home and get naked and body paint all over the floor. Let your body hit the floor. Let your body, let's have all our stuff imprinted on our own paper. But everybody's different. And if you don't think it's a big deal, like I don't think any answer is right or wrong. It's all according to the partner. But I just thought about that. But a lot the ladies in Beverly Hills don't have no partners except for Bose at this point. So the ladies go find their easels. Again, the naked men come out. They're getting their drinks. Amanda wants a mocktail. Erica says, "No, you got a drink." She says, "It's not that I don't drink. I do drink sometimes. I just prefer not to." And in her confessional, she says, "I don't know who Erica is for her to think she can comment on my drinking." I said, "Well, I guess there's the setup to some discord that they may have." So one of the models' back was clean arch back. I said, was that? Did they tell him to pose like that? Does he hurt? I mean, because he was lean back, do the rock away. Like I said, come on, Arch. His arch was better than the McDonald's arch. I said, you better arch. He had to be uncomfortable. Had to be. But anyway, so sorry, y'all, I got distracted a little bit. So all the paintings were revealed. Mind you, they had fun painting. They seemed like they really had a good time. The paintings were revealed. I will say Erica did a good job because she went straight in. She did the penis. She did everything. The the artist expert that was there, did name Rachel as the best one because a lot of the ladies drew the arch. That's what it looked like to me. Rachel won. So the ladies all went inside. Jennifer was asking Bose how her man was, and she said, Jennifer says he's lovely. Every time I've met him, he's lovely. Then they asked Kyle, she's dating. And I think Bose says, are you having sex right now? Or something like that. And she says, no. In her confessional, Bose was like, here we go again. Why can't we just get to the heart of the matter? Meaning they want to know what's going on with Kyle. So Kyle asked Dorit, has she gone on any dates since they've been, her and PK have been split up, separated? She said, no, because my husband is too busy torturing me. So now we know from an earlier scene, the kids are supposed to go to Florida with Dorit's mother and father. Spend some time there. This is the first time Dorit's not going. PK wants to block it to just be mean. She said Jagger was walking around like he had the weight of the world on his shoulders. He asked for Dorit's dad, not his own father, Dorit's dad, which Dorit told us earlier. She said it wasn't even 5 minutes after her dad came, Jagger was back to himself. Little boy, as he should be. He shouldn't have to be worried about the weight of the world in his parents' marriage, right? So then Dorit gets really emotional. And Kyle gets up and gives her a hug. In her confessional, Sutton said that she's actually breathless watching Dorit crumble in front of everyone. And Dorit's emotions are taking her back to hers. and she really wants to cry with her. I thought that was a nice thing to say, and I do think she meant that. See, look, I can give. I believe something in that moment. Dorit says her kids need love and support and to be around family. And this is the first time that she's truly seeing the impact that her divorce is having on her kids, and it's ripping her heart out of her chest because she feels like she can't do anything. She feels like whatever she's doing isn't enough. And to me, I was like, man, I can't imagine how she's feeling. Hopefully, the one thing you want to do is protect your children, right? And when you're going through something like this, and your kids, as much as you try to shield your kids from it, they're feeling it and seeing it. It is painful. So Bose says, listen, it's too overwhelming to think about everything that's happening because PK is trying to block the kids from going to Florida. So he says, no, they're not going. But she knows that's what the kids need. So Bose is saying, all right, look, thinking about all of it on top of each other is overwhelming. Let's pick one thing to focus on. The most important thing is getting your kids to Florida to have a good time. Let's solve that. So Dorit says, well, PK called up Phoenix and said, all right, well, if you're going to Florida, maybe daddy will go. I'm going to stay in a hotel and you will stay with me. Kyle says, okay, let them go. And then if he wants them to stay with him, so Dorit cuts her off and says, no, I don't think you understand who I'm dealing with. He's not rational. Bose says, so Bose tries to kind of interpret what Kyle's saying. She's saying no. What Kyle is saying is if he wants to go to Florida and stay in a hotel, let him. Let him do that. And Kyle is saying then it's a bit of a win-win. They get to see both, the grandkids and PK. Dorit said, but they don't want to. That's the thing. The kids don't want to stay with PK. They want to stay with her parents. She said, so he's doing it to hurt me. And at the same time, like people around, like some of the ladies are saying, no one's questioning that. Like we agree. No one's questioning that he's doing it to hurt you because Dorit is getting upset. Like he's doing this to hurt me. He's not doing this because he wants to spend time with him and the kids don't even want to go. So then Kyle says, or maybe he is, or maybe he isn't. Sometimes it's like there are times when you have to talk to your friend, like, look, maybe da 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 da. But did that have to be a time where she had to say maybe he is or maybe he isn't? Maybe she felt like her saying maybe he isn't is so Dorit wouldn't get herself so worked up in the confessional. She was trying to provide an alternative to what PK knows, to what Dorit knows PK is trying to do. Maybe that's it, right? Maybe I'm just saying, maybe in Kyle's mind, she felt like, maybe he is, but maybe he isn't, to kind of put Dorit at ease. But if Dorit knows, see, that's the thing. Kyle feels like she knows PK and has developed a relationship with him. You don't truly know nobody until you live with him and sleep with him in the house day in and day out. You get to know a person. You know more about a person than their own family sometimes, right? So I get why Dorit is upset because in her confessional, Dorit is like, you have the audacity to say maybe he is or maybe he's not. Like, can you at least put yourself in my shoes? So that's what Dorit says to her. Put yourself in my shoes. You have a 9 and 11-year-old. They're going to see, and they're going to see their parent. And as you're pushing them out the door, you have to tell them, you have to stay with daddy, even though they don't want to. So you're pushing them out the door, having to say, you have to stay with your dad. Is that what you think I should do? So Bose says, let him be the bearer of the bad news. Let him either show up or not. And Amanda said, yeah, prep them and say, you're going with your grandparents. You're going to stay with them, but your dad may stop by. Then Erica steps in and says, let him bear the entire responsibility of those children. He ain't going to do it. Because, men will do that. Oh, I want joint custody. I want this, until they really have to step up and do it and realize, oh, I'm having them full time or a week at a time or 2 weeks at a time. Oh, no, that's okay. Because they try to get to the mom through the kids. So Erica said he's not going to do it. So Rachel said, call his bluff. Let him go to Florida. He's not going to show up. And if he does, it's going to be a one night stop on his way to what'd she say, St. Bart's or one of those islands, St. Thomas somewhere. Erica said, I agree. And I will say, I appreciate how all the ladies were like, yes, girl, we know how it is. He's saying it, but he ain't gonna really do it. And just kind of brought Dorit back, brought her back down from, because we know that's what men do. And if PK is really like Dorit says, his lifestyle is not conducive to having joint custody of children, she gonna see that when he shows up to Florida. So Kyle gets in her feelings about them, and she gets about Dorit listening to the other ladies. She grabs her purse and she says to one of the ladies, I'm tired of talking about this. In her confessional, she says, Dorit will hear from the other ladies, but not with her, but not from her. Then she says, I can't help it if I've met PK. And she said, none of the other ladies have met PK. So whatever Dorit says, he's this, he's that, they just go along with her. They support her. I can't help it if I've met him and have experience with him and see him in a different way. And that kind of stuff makes me want to scream because, again, it's not like this in all marriages, but I do believe with PK and Kyle, Dorit was with that man how many years before she met Kyle? They had children. They may have gone through issues. So I'm pretty sure Dorit knows PK better than Kyle. So it's like Kyle seems determined to say, well, the PK that you're dealing with, Dorit, is not the PK that I would. Of course not. He wants you to see his best sides, and you don't have children with him. Oh, can you imagine if Dorit said that about Mauricio? The Mauricio you're dealing with, I've never dealt with that Mauricio. She would be like, but you don't know him like I do. Exactly. Child, anyway. Sorry, y'all. So we're at Kyle's house. Erica comes by. Kyle tells, so they go out and they get their Cokes and drinks, Coca-Colas, not Coke, Coca-Colas. And they go and sit out on the veranda, the deck, what have you. Kyle tells Erica how she was telling her daughters about drawing the naked men. And she said, it's been a long time since I've seen a wiener. Erica said, well, that could all change. So Kyle said, she may be wrong, but she's tired of them asking her about her dating life. Kyle said, Erica, if you were dating someone that you cared for very much, and they specifically said to you, look, I'm not a part of this group. I want you to be respectful. In other words, don't talk about me on TV. Would you betray that person just because people are curious? In this world, the answer is no. In your world where you're paid to be on TV and share your life, and sharing life is different than sharing the intimate details. Nobody's asking you to do that. Okay. She could have very easily said, yes, I'm dating. Y'all have seen it all in the tabloids. I'm not going into it any further. I can't go into detail. But to act as if the people are crazy because they're asking you these questions when it's all over the tabloids is wild. So again, being respectful, yes. But the world you live in, the world you clearly like because you're still on TV, does require a level of authenticity and what? Being honest, because that's what you always say. Moving on. So Erica says she would protect the person. Then Kyle says, I always tell everybody to be honest. I said, did she hear the fans? Because we were screaming that from the rooftops. You're always saying, just be honest. Just be honest. So Kyle says, I always tell everybody to be honest. And I'm a pretty honest person, I think. I'm not a liar, but I don't know she doesn't know what they want from her. Like, what do you want from me? And my notes say they want the same honesty that you demand of everyone else. So she says, I was seeing someone that I cared about very much after my separation from Mo. She said, I believe that she was in her confessional when she said, separating, um, she was in a relationship that was very vulnerable, and she was in a very vulnerable place in her life. And she fell very hard for this person. We know who it is. It's Morgan. Very hard for this person. She said, when I'm in love with somebody, I want to share that. I don't care, but that doesn't mean the person I'm with feels the same way. I'm going to say this though. Doing the video with Morgan, the seductiveness and all of that, you couldn't have thought that that would have helped you not wanting to talk about Morgan. There was already speculation, then you go and do this video like that. Come on, where you're pretty much playing lovers in the video. It's like you can't have it both ways. So she says, wait a minute, she said, Erica says, I think you've been as transparent as you can be. That's pretty much what she's saying. Kyle says, I'm trying. In her confessional, she said all the speculation and the gossip is what ultimately ended the relationship. I said, wow. Morgan didn't know what she was getting into when she started dating a person on a reality show. And maybe, listen, maybe people, I've heard a lot of housewives say, I thought all of it was completely scripted until I got in it. And maybe Morgan didn't realize just how intrusive it can be and how real it was until she got in it and was like, whoa, this ain't for me. Maybe, I don't know. So Kyle says, meaning Kyle, could have weathered the storm, but it's not for everyone, meaning Morgan could not. So she's talking to Erica, she's crying, and she said, people think they're owed an answer. And Erica said, yeah, they do think that. Because sometimes, Kyle, on this show, you thought you were owed an answer. So she said, if it were only about me, I would give the answer. But it's not. It's two people here. Well, they've asked you questions where you could have answered just for you, but you kind of brushed it off. When they've asked you, were you exploring or whatever? Like you could, it's mind you, nobody is necessarily owed. That could be a strong of a word, but there's ways you could have answered just for you. Kyle always is, oh, I'm so honest. If it was just me in the situation, I could answer. It's not going to be just you. We've seen it. Like, come on. I child anyway. So she says, and as a matter of fact, when they asked her, were you dating? She says no. She didn't say, well, I was dating when we first separated. I'm not anymore, and I really don't want to go into it. Even if she had said that, you're not even saying that. You're saying it in a confessional so you can say it and so people can say, oh, she's being transparent. But the ladies aren't going to see this till afterwards. So there's not going to be a conversation about it. You know what I mean? So yeah, you're saying it, but it's like you're like saying it in this space where the conversation is not going to be explored more. And the things that you are saying, you're saying them with Erica, unless we see more in the season because it is early. So Erica says, look, in her confessional, Erica says, imagine getting out of an almost 30-year marriage and then unexpectedly falling in love with someone, but you can't talk about it. That's a hard place to be. The women are still going to question Kyle until she addresses it once and for all, even though the person she fell in love with, that relationship is over. Yeah. In her saying that, she's recognizing Kyle is not really addressing it, putting it on the other person. There's ways she could have. Just like there was questions that she wanted Erica to answer, and Erica kept saying, I can't talk about it. I can't do this. Kyle still wanted some answers. Well, here you are. Welcome, Kyle. So Erica says she thinks that this is the most honest Kyle has ever been with herself in her life, and she's very proud of her. And so back in the scene, Kyle's crying, and Erica says, look, you're in a rock and a hard place. That was episode 1 and 2, even though, what's it called? Uh, Peacock is positioning it as episode 3 because again, they're doing Watch What Happens Live episodes. So when you see in the title that I say episode 3, it's because that's how Peacock has it because they're including Watch What Happens Live. And I'm not I'm not going back trying to figure it out. I'm just going to go by what Peacock has. Y'all let me know what y'all think of the first two episodes so far. Again, we are only two episodes in. What is your reasoning for watching Beverly Hills? And is it different than what your reasoning has been in the past? You know, in the past, to me, they had compelling storylines and things that I wanted to see and couldn't wait to sit down and watch. Now I think I am watching for the aesthetics and all of that. And then, oh, there's a little bit of story behind there. Oh, okay, great. But y'all let me know if y'all reason, if you watched it from the beginning till now, has the reason changed as to why you're watching it? Are you just watching it because it's another Housewives show and it's background noise? Y'all let me know and we will talk in the comments. I love y'all so much. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. If you're watching, please, y'all know what to do. Please make sure to go to wherever your podcast app is, type in what else is going on, follow the podcast there. And if you're listening, y'all know what to do. Go to YouTube, type in WEIGO podcast, and subscribe to the podcast there. If you don't feel like going to YouTube, typing it in, read the episode description. The word YouTube is there's a hyperlink. Click on it, it takes you right to the page. Please make sure to hype the video if you enjoyed it, if you have a hype left, and if you want to. I love y'all so much. Thank y'all for rocking with me again. I can't say enough. Thank you for seeing me through the times when I'm just letting work just take over my mind and haven't been concentrating on this like I should, even though this is really truly where I want to be. Thank you for being with me through the ebbs and the flows. We are going, we're going to be here. We are going to be here. I love y'all so much, and I will talk to you later. See ya. Ciao, I'm home. Welcome back, Carter.